everybody, this is Brian David Marshall coming to you from the Tournament Center at Magic Weekend Philadelphia. I'm here with Senior Director of R&D, Aaron Forsythe.
Hello.
In the coverage room, we call him Coach. You spent a week in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, your old stomping grounds?
Yep.
Having fun?
Hanging out with the family, old friends, love it.
Yeah? First time I met you was actually Grand Prix Pittsburgh a long time ago, and your brother was here.
Yep, he was there. We did Cube Draft before it was called that.
Yeah.
That was what?
It's called Big Box
11
Draft.
years ago or something like that.
So you had a chance to play with him at all?
Yeah, we did some Winston drafts. He doesn't play Magic much anymore, but you know, the core sets are great for him.
All right, I'm burying the lead here. we're bantering, we're talking, but really, we've got Innistrad preview cards, which you know because you read the link before you clicked on your favorite site here. So let's take a look at 5 new cards from Innistrad. Village Cannibals. So this is a human. Humans are a big element in this set?
Yeah, they're one of the 5 large tribes in the set. They're centered in white-green, but they show up in all colors. For instance, here's a black one. This card is one of my favorite kind of Magic cards. It's just a resonant top-down design. This card exists because they wanted to make a cannibal, so that's why it's like this. And the art is one of my favorites in the set. It is scary without being gory, which I think is fantastic, and that sets a lot of the tone of the set.
Right, Mark's talked a lot about the idea of gothic horror, which is like atmospheric as opposed to gore, and I mean this is like completely encapsulates what that means to me.
Yes, it does. And this guy plays really well. There's a lot of ways to sacrifice creatures in the set, and so this guy can plays a good carrion feeder, mortician beetle type role in a
I like all of
black
those cards.
white limited deck.
Season uncommon, you see, I mean, I could see this guy, doing something constructed, assuming there's other humans to play around with. Speaking of humans, I think our next card's an actual human. Tiago
This is a human wizard modeled after a real human wizard. Tiago Chan, yes, it's been years since he won that invitational, but we finally got a card out of him that we like.
Snapcaster Mage.
And it is a sick one.
I'm like maybe I'm crazy here, but this seems super tournament playable.
Absolutely. So he's a 2/1 flash guy for 2 that when he enters the battlefield, an instant or sorcery in your graveyard gains flashback. And when you think about all the cheap spells you can play in Standard right now, just giving Gitaxian Probe flashback, amazing. Giving Preordain or Ponder flashback.
Giving Mental Misstep flashback.
Dismember.
Giving Mana Leak flashback.
Yeah, he's like Mystic Snake. If you give Mana Leak flashback for 2 UU, you get a 2/1 and a Mana Leak.
In Modern, you could give a Cryptic Command flashback.
That's right.
That seems super exciting to me.
Shock, Incinerate, whatever. Timely reinforcements with flashback. Oh my God! Like, how do you? And in a pinch, you can give Day of Judgment flashback, and yes, you kill your Snapcaster Mage, but free Wrath right out of the graveyard. He is amazing. He's a surprise blocker. If you have instants in your deck, it's just really hard to know what to do when you think they have this guy in their hand. He is nuts. He's a fine in the lineage of insanely powerful invitational cards. This guy fits right in.
He's definitely right up there. I love this card. I've been really blown away by him. All right, let's Slayer of the Wicked, 3W, 3/2, Human Soldier. So we got a lot of humans we're looking at today.
Right.
But
there's definitely a theme of humans versus monsters.
We really get that
We've
here.
previewed another card. It's a guy that has protection from these 3 tribes in white, vampire, werewolf, or zombie. And this guy's kind of like the white flame tongue Kavu that he comes into play and whacks one of the main 3 evil tribes, vampire, werewolf, or zombie.
I imagine you'll be windmill slamming this first pick in a lot of Innistrad drafts.
Yeah.
This card seems spectacular, right?
I mean, unlike a card like Flame Tongue, which was good against everybody, this card is superb against most people in the draft, and once in a while you'll run into a matchup where it doesn't do anything, but very flavorful, very powerful.
And it seems like when I've talked to Mark about the set, he said while there is tribal synergies, a lot of times you don't have to play tribal. So you're going to have this human soldier in your deck, but you might also have a werewolf in your deck. You might also have another creature type in your deck. And so this is just going to be good against, I think, from what I understand, a lot of different decks.
And you'll note that it says you may. So if you are the one with the werewolves and vampires, white typically isn't about messing up your own stuff. Now, if that was a red or black card, it might be mandatory, but it's you may, so you won't have to worry about knocking off your own guys.
I've always wondered what the criteria was for when you may and when you must, and that's a color pie kind of thing?
A little bit. It's kind of ambiguous. Sometimes for power level, it matters. You have to do this. Sometimes it's optional. Every card's different. We talk about them each individually. This one made sense as you may.
Awesome. All right. So one of the big ta-da moments of the PAX party. I wish I had my mustache.
Yes, the pugilists.
Instigator Gang. This is one of the transform cards, double face cards. This was a big deal. This was just announced last weekend. How excited are you about having this out in the open?
You know, of all the crazy things we've done on cards, this is the craziest, and the flavor's so good. I'm so excited. The reaction's been, hands turned up. Oh my God, what are you guys doing? Well, it was a perfect fit here, and we did it.
Magic player transforms into Chicken Little.
Yeah. They're a lot of fun. The flavor's great. Having the two big pictures that show the human transforming into the werewolf. So you see these guys are a brawler gang of humans, the Instigator Gang.
So, and then up there we see the day symbol.
The sun means that's the front side of the card. And they're okay. They're a 2, 3 for 4 that gives you kind of an orcish Oriflamme effect for your attackers.
So this guy attacks as a 3/3 essentially.
Yeah. No great shakes.
4 mana, nice hill giant kind of guy.
No great shakes, especially for a rare. But when he flips over,
let's take a look at the other side here. And so you see the knight symbol up there, the Wild Blood pack.
Right, here they are, the same 4 guys as werewolves. Suddenly you got a 5/5 trampler that gives attacking creatures you control, including itself, +3/+0. While you don't want to have this thing hit you.
So this guy just alone attacks as an 8/5 trampler.
Right,
which is, kind of a big deal.
Yep.
And if you have any other guys, any tokens, I noticed, any tokens, any just cheap creatures, you're just attacking for a lot of damage early.
Then this guy, because his ability is so offense-minded, he really punishes your opponent for missing a spell drop. So if you can play this guy on turn 3 with an elf or a bird, and your opponent doesn't have a 3-drop, he flips over and you just bring the pain. So make sure you have enough spells to cast when you're facing the werewolf deck.
Talk to me a little bit about this symbol over here. What does that mean?
That means the card is red. That's called the color indicator.
But I can see that it's red.
Yes, well, the rules need some. The card frame is ignored by the rules. Typically, on cards that don't have a mana cost, we write Wild Blood Pack is red in text. We didn't want to do that 20 times.
Sure.
We wanted some other way to indicate color that the rules could identify, and so we put this little dot here. And we're going to go back in Oracle, and should we reprint any of them, stuff like Ancestral Vision, Dryad Arbor, and just put the dot there, so we don't have to write that line of text on the cards anymore.
What are you going to do in Trans-Guild Courier?
I don't know yet. That's a good question. We've actually...
like a little Trivial Pursuit disc?
Right. He's everything. All 5 colors. So yeah, that's some new tech that we try to get words out of the text box. You can basically ignore it. It doesn't... The card's red, obviously. It's red, and that just tells the rules that it's red.
So talk a little bit about designing Innistrad. So, I know Mark has been really excited to do a Gothic horror set for a long time. He's talked about that.
Yep.
What are you guys thinking collectively as you sit down to design a very top-down set? I mean, do you feel hampered as a designer? Do you feel, free as a designer to really do some crazy stuff? Obviously, you did some crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty liberating in many ways. The second half of Zendikar design was kind of done like this, where once we had the land theme in place, we then decided we were going to be set in an adventure world, and then started top-downing all the stuff you'd see in an adventure world: traps, quests, heroes, which became allies. And so for Innistrad, we just started at the beginning from there. We knew what the setting was, and we said, just think of all the things that go here. And then instead of starting from mechanics and then making a bunch of cards, we started from, there was a bunch of cards, a bunch of ideas, cannibals and ghosts and all the things that are horror, wooden stakes, yeah. And then we had to find some mechanics that tied that all together. Flashback was great because it plays into the graveyard, and then the transform cards, because, and I'm sure as you've heard or read Mark say, transformation is such a big part of horror, and we really wanted to make werewolves work because they've only been in Magic here and there, and they've been lame, and the best way to do it was something really crazy, like turning the card into some other card.
Now, one of the things I really like about the transform mechanic is, obviously werewolves, I like the idea that these guys are, during the day, every werewolf on the board is a werewolf. During the day is a human. And at night they're werewolves, and all of them are in sync.
Right.
Unless you clone or
Yeah, there's ways to get
Sakashima
out
or
of
do
it,
something
yeah.
crazy. But
In
that's not
general,
important right
right,
now.
right.
Now talk about some of the other transformations. We saw 3 different types of cards at the PAX party. We saw the Vampire Bat card that becomes a vampire that you can sort of, you can transform at will, right? Which is, I thought, incredibly evocative of what vampires are like.
Right.
And then we also saw the Ludovic's test subject, which is kind of like
Build up towards it.
tick-tocking
Yeah, it's kind of like a level up guy almost.
Yeah.
He levels into a giant, hatches into a giant lizard. Then there's another one that we previewed. The Urbane Gentleman, I think is his name.
Oh, is that
He's
the
a
Jekyll
looter.
and Hyde?
Yeah, he's a
kind of?
Jekyll and
no,
Hyde
yeah.
guy. He's a
I
Jekyll
love
and Hyde guy.
that card.
You loot until you discard a creature, at which point you untap him and he becomes a 5/1 that must attack. Turns him from a blue looter into a red must attack 5/1. And then if he doesn't attack, he shrinks back down into the looter, the Dr. Jekyll version. So there's a whole bunch of different ways that these things transform. There's some we haven't seen yet that transform off triggers in the game, like when something happens in the game, this guy automatically flips over. So, we just went through the list of things that could happen in horror and tried to make cards for them. And there's some in every color. Most of them are red and green, which are werewolves, but you saw the vampire, and there's a possessed little girl that turns into some horrible demon. So, we hit them all.
Awesome. Well, I'm super excited to get my hands on some Innistrad and play. September 24th and September 25th are pre-releases. You can keep up with the card image gallery on Daily MTG and see as each card is sort of trickled out over the next couple weeks and in preview articles. So,
and it's a really fun limited format. It's kind of tribal and kind of graveyard and all kind of stuff mixed together. So
yeah, I'm
all
excited
sorts
for
of different ways
Flashback.
to go. Different ways to go. A lot of fun.
I'm also really excited about the new dual lands.
The enemy
The opposite
M10s.
colored,
Yep.
like M10 lands.
Yes, long time
Is there,
coming.
is there a mechanic? Are they just called M10 lands?
That's what
is
we
that
call
the
them.
mechanical
That's what
name?
we call them.
Well, there you have it. Make sure you check out Daily MTG for more information as we get closer and closer to the pre-release date, and make sure you go to a pre-release. For Aaron Forsythe, this is Brian David Marshall signing off from the Tournament Center.